And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the Jeff Mara Podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Benjamin Morris. During Benjamin's near-death experience, he saw different worlds, and today we're going to learn about it. Benjamin, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome.
Hello, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I think it's best if we start at the beginning of your NDE and let us know what happened.
Okay. Well, my NDE, I talk about it in my book. My book is Lands of Souls, Tweaker to Believer. And during my NDE, it didn't happen right away. As a tweaker, I was also a drug dealer, a middleman. And so I was slanging crystal meth, slanging marijuana, drinking, smoking cigarettes, and all that stuff. This is actually the new me, the me that came through a lot of struggles and heartaches and almost dying. But it's not the old me. This is the old me.
No one, game don't wait for no one. Well, you better get right, get your game tight, game flight. How am I supposed to survive on minimum wage, 9 to 5? These dead-end jobs can't keep me alive. And the homies keep asking me what it's hitting for. All I see around me are churches and liquor stores. The cost of living is outlandish, so most of my payday loans are outstanding. On the corner, nothing to do, tell the truth, I hate it. Never been jumped in, but I'm more than affiliated. Growing up here goes down for where you're from and where you're at. At the wrong place at the wrong time, and they bound to lay you flat. Tattooed teardrops symbolizing who's gone, and I don't need you to tell me that what I'm doing is wrong. You don't think that I know that? Look, I've been saving for a minute to go straight. Eventually I'll own that. Halfway legit, the other side ain't feeling right. Hustling to survive, yeah, I know I ain't living right. Another dollar for another day.
And now that you've gotten a glimpse of the old me, you see that I've been a soldier. I'm going to be a soldier, but I've evolved. So now I'm not just a soldier, I'm also a warrior, a spiritual warrior, looking for recruits. And my health started going really down to where I started having these severe asthma attacks. And towards right before my last asthma attack that triggered my NDE, one of the times as I was having this asthma attack, I was thinking to myself, you know what, me thinking I was, hardcore, badass guy, whatever. I was like, you know what, if this is my time, then this is my time. If it's time for me to go, I'm going to go. And I chose not to call 911. I chose just to see, what would happen if I didn't do anything. And when I did, when I closed my eyes, there was like this pull, and it was a violent tug, like pulling out my soul, like with the jagged hook, like pulling out my heart. And in my book, I call it the blackness. As an indie ear with other indie ears, it's more popularly known as the void. And as it was pulling, like the first time it did it, I was like, oh my God, what was that? And I was like, okay, maybe it was nothing. And then I tried to close my eyes again, and it did it again, a very violent pull at my soul, and it got me scared. I was like, okay, you know what? Never mind. I called the ambulance. I was like, help me. I need help, please, hurry, help, please. Because I'm having an asthma attack. And then from there, that was I had two more because I'm so smart, and then my last one, it was so bad that my oxygen levels were at 67%, and then so I couldn't breathe on my own, so they had to sedate me. In the ambulance they sedated me, and I had a tube down my throat, and I was sedated for about 4 days until my oxygen levels got back to where I could breathe again on my own. In which case they woke me up. They took the tube out of my esophagus, which tore my esophagus. So I was on a very strict diet, and I couldn't talk with this torn esophagus, so I had to whisper. And I was on this strict diet, non-solid diet. So I had so I started off with like ice chips, and from there it went to ice chips to Jello to juice, and then chicken broth. So I was on this strict chicken broth diet. And then while it was during the time I was sedated, it just went through. It felt like a couple of hours, but it was actually 4 days. And it was when I was on this chicken broth diet that I was able to do this. My N.ear D.eath experience happened, and with it, I was able to transfer to different dimensions at will and come back at will. Very, very bizarre. It was tripping me out, and it was very cool. I mean, to a point. And with you today, Jeff, I had planned on just explaining, like, sharing with you what happened the first time I had traveled to this dimension, and then what happened the second time, or not the second time, the last time. And the last time, which the last time was, I was almost glad it was the last time, because I got stuck for a second, and it really tripped me out and gave me a reality check and all that stuff about what I was doing and everything.
So when you went to the black void the first time, I guess that was in your house, you just kind of went there and didn't stay very long and came back?
It was trying to take me. So as I was like, my oxygen levels were so low, near death, I would close my eyes, and I would feel it. I would feel like, it was taking me somewhere I didn't want to go. And so with that, it would happen every time I closed my eyes. So with that, as I was waiting for the ambulance, I kept my eyes open. I was, I didn't want to close them, because closing them meant, and I was not trying to go there. And the way it felt was like, if you felt pain or agony, like the worst pain you could think of in your life, it was giving me a hint that that was nothing compared to where it was trying to take me. It scared me straight.
Now, was there an entity pulling you in that direction, or just the void itself was pulling you there?
It wasn't an entity, but as I was in, with my eyes closed in darkness, there was a darkness in the darkness. There was, and it was graphically, pulling at me. So there was, I don't know, maybe smoke or like a black smoke, but black and black. So there was something, but there wasn't an actual entity, not in that sense.
All right, well, let's learn about your first experience.
Right. So the first experience, the first full experience, because my first experience was one that I actually did myself. It was weird. It was so weird. The first one was so weird that I don't really, if we go into that one by itself, that would be the whole that would be the whole show. So instead, I'll just the first one, it happened, but Joe Dispenza explained with his theories on the pineal gland how I was able to make this artificial one. But since it was artificial, it started breaking down and everything, and it was really bizarre. But since I didn't in a sense, I was somewhere not outside of our dimension, but it wasn't a set dimension. I had made it. I would be more than happy to share that experience with you another time. Other than that, it's also in my book. Okay. But the first time I did it successfully in, totally different dimension, and every time I would shift, I don't see it. I never called it, going to another dimension or transferring. I considered it shifting, because it was like a shift. It was just like a shift from right here to like a move over. But the whole move was a whole different world. And so the shifts would always happen the same. I would close my eyes. They would happen within 10 seconds. It would they usually happen within 6 seconds, 5 sometimes, no longer, by 8 for sure. And first would be sound. And so with this first time, when I closed my eyes, I heard wind, and I heard the wind like as if there was a breeze going. And then from there, I felt wind going through my fingers. So it was a breeze, but it was a breeze going upward, as if I was like going downward. And from there, when I opened my eyes, I was suspended, and I was in the sky, and I wasn't falling, but I was not hovering, because I was going down. So it was like a gliding maybe. So I was like gliding down, and there was nothing. I was just in the sky. It was just me and this world. This one was similar to ours. There was basically no difference. But then on my hands though, I had these gauntlets. There are these huge like white gauntlets around my hand, and then my fingers were like these like claws that were coming out. All right, and then to this day, I can't tell you if the gauntlet was a gauntlet. It's like, so was it? I can't tell you if it was something that was attached to my hand, or if it was my actual hand. I don't know, you know. But I felt the power. So as I was gliding, and then I was gliding like this. It was like they were making me glide. Like they were making it so where I wasn't falling. I was like, you know, like they were letting me float as I was going downward. But then as I was looking, with one, when I looked at my hand, I went like this. And when I went like this, it was like a boom, boom. You know, I was like, you know, okay, you know, like, wow, like, you know, like, and I felt a surge of power when I went like that, went boom. And the surge of power went from my palms up to my arm. And I was like, okay, you know, like that's pretty bizarre. That's pretty cool. And then the boom, boom, like echoed. So I felt, I heard it in my head, but it also, the sound was also in the world, like an echo. So, okay, and that happened when I went like this. But then, so I did the opposite. Instead of going like this, I went out. Like I went out like that, right? When I went out like that, it went yong, and I heard this just like a loud echo throughout the whole world. It was just yong, and it just catapulted me into the sky, like you know, like basically Iron Man's boosters in his hand, but they were way stronger, and it was like propulsion. It's like, and I flew forward. And I was just like, wow, like, you know, whoa, this is cool, you know, and it echoed throughout the whole land, the whole world, right? And then I was like, cool. Then I did it again, and I did it again. And then from there, I was over here just, you know, shooting out in the sky, like, you know, like flying. And I was like, oh, this is cool. But then I started thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? This is probably a dream. I was like, you know, I'm flying and I'm in the sky. This is a dream. Man, I'm getting happy over a dream, you know, like, you know, what the heck, you know? So I was like, all right. And then, so I stopped, and then I couldn't like, it was, once again, when I stopped, I started floating, like gliding down again. And I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens if I just glide down. So I let it just like take me down. And as it was taking me down, I was like, okay, there's, you know, there's nothing going on. And I called this chapter in my book Cloud-like City, because I was in the sky with the clouds. But then as I was coming down, there was a cloud bed down there. And as I was coming closer, I saw little ants. And then from there, the ants turned to people. So I was like, okay, this is, you know, this is, once again, I'm not dreaming. This is, I'm somewhere, you know. And then when I landed on the cloud, it was cushy. It was like a marshmallow, maybe. Yeah, like a marshmallow. It's like a marshmallow, softer than a pillow, but a little harder than a marshmallow, just a little bit. And then when I landed, those people, and then there was no buildings, there was no houses, there was no trees, there was just these people on this cloud. And you know, with the other places I traveled, there were like different types of people. Like this one place, there was like, you know, it was like an Asian land, to where like they were Asian American and you know, Asian Mexican, you know, Asian Black, but they were Asian with other parts, religions or ethnicities in them. This one had all colors of the rainbow. It had Black, white, Mexican, Asian, Chinese, Japanese. They all were at this one. And when I landed, like they all started, like, you know, it took me a while to glide. And then as I got there, like they started to surround me, and they were like, you know, all happy and like, you know, cool to see me. Like they weren't even surprised. And then they started coming towards me, and I was like, oh, cool. They want to check me out. They want to find out who I am. But then when they came to me, they didn't care about me. They cared about my these gauntlet things on my hands. They were like, oh, they were all checking them out. They were looking at them. Then all the crowds were like, they weren't even like giving me eye contact. They were just looking at these gauntlets, right? And then all of a sudden, like they cleared out the way, and when they cleared the way, this little girl comes up. and she comes up and like, they kind of like, she could have been like, 7, 6, 6 between 6 and 8 maybe. And then she comes up and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what they want me to do, but she's here and obviously she's a big deal. So I was like, okay, let me do something real quick. And so I take her hand, and I didn't want to do the whole proportion thing, you know what I mean? Because I don't know if she could, her arm's gonna fly off or she's gonna freak her out or something. I don't know, right? So I was like, oh, but I could glide. So I went with her and I started walking, and I walked to the edge of the cloud, and then I just dropped down, and with her, and when we dropped down, I started gliding again, and she was there with me, just gliding too, almost like Peter Pan, I guess. But we weren't flying, we were just gliding down. You know what I mean? And I was like, as we were gliding, she was enjoying it, and I was just thinking to myself, Lord, please be another cloud or something for us to land on, because I don't know where we're going from here. You know what I mean? And like I said, I didn't want to do that proportion thing, so I didn't know what it would do to her or how or whatnot. But sure enough, a couple seconds happened, and then once again, I started seeing like a little fog down there, and then little ants, and there were people, and then once again, there was another cloud like surface. We landed. She just gave me a glance, and then she walked away. And then from there, I was like, everybody said she walked away. They everybody left, and then everybody just started looking at me like saying goodbye almost. So I was like, oh, is it? So am I supposed to leave? I was like, okay, well, okay then. So then I closed my eyes, and I opened my eyes, and I was back at home. And then it looked like, and it turned out with this one, it was only like it felt like I was there for flying around and stuff. I was there for like 2-3 hours easy. And when I came back here, it was only like about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. And so then from there I was like, oh cool, and I left again. I went to another place. So and then the shifts would always be like I said, it would be first sound and then feel, and then I'd open my eyes and I'd be somewhere. But coming back was always immediate. I would boom, and I'd be back. But then to leave again, it would take the sequence. And anytime I broke the sequence, say I closed my eyes and I heard a sound, if I opened my eyes, I'd still be back. So I would have to let the sequence take the place in order for me to actually go wherever it was I'd be going.
You mentioned something with the pineal gland. Were you actively thinking about it while shifting or meditating or something, or what did it have to do with the pineal gland?
Right. Yes, sir. So this all happened 10 years ago, even though it was so wonderful and so fascinating. It feels like yesterday. After it happened, it made no sense. It was like, how could this happen? Like, how is this possible? So I started doing research and started looking into people and other near-death experiencers and the whole NDE concepts and stuff. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, I found Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's a physicist and a fellow NDEer, and he has a lot of theories on how we could look into ourselves to bring out supernatural abilities in this day and age. And he has a lot of theories on the pineal gland, and it was his theories on the pineal gland that helped give me understanding to what happened to me during this time. But actually during this time, I knew nothing. I was just this drug dealer that thought to myself, YOLO, you only live once, and life sucks anyways, and I'm probably gonna get reincarnated because life sucks, and it all was just mind blowing. I didn't know what was going on the whole time. Mm-hmm. I was just able to just enjoy it and just remember it.
So it's like you were landing on different clouds with people. It sounds like you weren't even in this world. You were in some other like world of clouds, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then when I think about the color of the sky, it was blue, but it was like a sunset blue. It was like, a blue with a hint of pink with a possible purple. You know what I mean? And it was the entire sky too. So it was very similar to our world, but even the sky was not ours. It was different. It wasn't I know it wasn't our land of souls, so to speak.
So you still remember that experience today like it was yesterday?
Oh yeah,
Mm.
definitely. It was just so monumental, and it was like, so bizarre. It was like, my mind just absorbed all of it. Like, what I mean? Like, with dreams, you remember certain things, but like if you wake, as soon as every time I would go to these different lands, the first thing I would do was look around, like, like this, like, what I mean? Like this is crazy. I mean? So
Mm.
every time I would look around, and I would take mental, notes of this place that I'm at, like, like not knowing how I got here.
All right. Well, we're doing good on time, so let's go to another one.
Yeah. So that was the first one, and in a sense, it felt every time I would go after, I was kind of looking for that one. You know, it was just the people were so nice, and it seemed so peaceful, and then like the girl, who was she, like but I never repeated the same ones. I never went to the same one twice. But we'll go on and talk about the last one I went to. And in my book, I call this one the Renaissance Carnival. And by this time, I'd already been doing them so many times, I was arrogant and cocky, and then it kind of nips me in the butt. Nips it. It messes with me towards the end of this travel. So, it's oh, and for the record, like people are like, was I people have asked me in the past as far as my sleeping. I wasn't sleeping during these times, and since I wasn't sleeping during these times, I woke up exhausted. I mean, my mind was awake the whole night, but since I just came fresh out of the hospital, I was sleeping all day, but I just came out of the hospital, so sleeping all day didn't mean anything to anybody because so but I would sleep all day and then I'd do these all night. And so but yeah, I was drinking it for a while. I was a little I felt a little, like, a little cocky about it, like, like I felt in control. I felt so powerful, you know what I mean, to just, when I want, go to a different place and come back, And so for this last one, it's night, and instead of going to bed, I go do the shift. But when I do the shift this time, when I opened my eyes, I was in this room, and this room had, on the right side, there was this girl on this bed, and it was a long, slender room. It was like a rectangular room, like a room in like an apartment or something. And when and then there was a girl laid out, a little heavy set, on the bed with her on her stomach, watching this little TV. And when I opened my eyes, I was in the middle, towards the back of the wall. She's on the right side of this wall with the bed, and there was a couch with some guys right there. They looked very, I couldn't tell if it was our time or not, but they looked so, and then with the TV and stuff, I didn't, like, usually, like I told you, I absorb what's going on, but it felt like I was cheated. It felt like, I was like, wait a minute, I'm looking for a different world, a different place, a different land, and you give me this. I was like, what is this, right? And then not only that, they were ignoring me. I was like, and the way I saw it, I just came out of thin air, and they're ignoring me. I was like, how could someone come out there and there? You just act like they're not even there, right? So I was like, okay, well, they're ignoring me. Well, maybe there's something good on the TV. So I go to see what's on the TV. But then I was like, you know what? I don't even care what's on the TV. I mean, I was like, this place is boring. I was like, I want to see something exciting. So I was like, what? Screw this place. And so I go back. I sit back down where I was, and then I was about to I do the sequence again. And then when I was about to do the sequence, I think the girl may have possibly looked over at me. I did that one. I don't really remember because I was on my way out anyways. And then with my book though, sharing it with people, anybody that reads my book, I please, like, I ask for feedback, because it's just a document. I don't know why things happen the way it did, so I get feedback from people. And one of the things that somebody said was, it's possible that they didn't see me, and then it being so close to our world, it's possible it was I was like in a ghostly shape, to where it was our world, or a world similar, and I was there as a ghost, so they were ignoring me because they didn't know I was there. And then maybe when and I was like, oh, this sucks, and I was giving these emotions, maybe she sensed the emotion, and so she glanced over because she sensed the emotion, maybe. I don't know. But I was like, this sucks. So I left. And with this, and then when I left, I did the whole thing. I closed my eyes again, and I heard this hokey music. It was like rum, 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 rum. And then from there, I felt moisture in the air, like almost like a San Francisco Bay, or like like a beach towards like like misty, like moisture in the air and stuff. And when I opened my eyes this time, I was on the bleachers on a field that had a carnival. So I wasn't at the carnival. I was just like what 20 feet from the carnival, and then it was a traveling carnival. And I say it was a traveling carnival because the grass and the stuff on around it and stuff wasn't permanent. You know what I mean? It was like they had moved recently, and now they landed in this place. And but I was like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I want. This is what I'm here for, right? So so I start walking over to the carnival, and then when I walk over to the carnival, I noticed they're all in Renaissance attire. Like everybody's like in old English, robes and gowns and stuff. And but the actual carnival with the games and stuff, they were like, they were kind of retro, but they still had like a basketball, or like, stuff that, or I don't know if it was a basketball, it was still a ball, a bouncy ball. I'm not going to say a basketball, but they had stuff that was not Renaissance, related, but everybody that was there was definitely Renaissance. And they were majority Caucasian. I want to say they all were, but I wasn't paying too much attention to the people as much as I was in the beginning, because I was already doing so many travels. I was just like, oh, I'm here. Ooh, cool, Horizon games. Let's check this out. So I like I said, I was so in my head at this point. I didn't pay too much detail on stuff. And then but when I went and I go to the first game, and the guy was just like, he was drained. He was drained. Like he had no energy. Like it was all stolen from him. Or he's been up for like, I was a crystal meth head, so it looked like he was up for maybe 4 days, like just waiting to go to sleep. And then he handed me the ball. He didn't even look at me. And then and then I played it. Then he did it again. And so I was like, okay, that's weird. But then I did, from seeing him, I did look at the people, and they all were like that. Everybody was just like just dragging around like. Like it wasn't, nobody was playing the games either. I was the only one playing the games. And they were just like, like just drained. I want to say, not zombies, because, they weren't, zombies were like Walking Dead. They weren't like they were dead, but they were all like, they never even heard of coffee. Like, like they never, like they were just drained. And it makes sense. But once again, I didn't care. I was like, oh, it sucks for you guys. I mean, I just went on to the next game and whatnot. And then from there, the sun started to come up. And then I do want to put a footnote in this real quick, because I didn't tell you this part. So when I would travel to a place, like I would only do it at night, and then I would travel to these places, and it would be nighttime. And then from there, as I'm at a place and it would start becoming daytime, it would when I would open my eyes, it would be daytime here too. But at the same time though, like one of the places I went, I was only there for like maybe 30 minutes, and the sun was coming up. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. I just got here, and then when I left, it was, the whole day had went by. So the hours, and then that one I told you, I was there for like 3 or 4 hours, and then I opened my eyes and I was there for like 20 or 30 minutes. And so I went to another one. And so the time sequences would change. But as far as it being night there and it turning daytime, that stayed the same. I don't know how I'll explain that anymore. But I saw I saw the sun was coming up, and so I was like, from the other travels, I was like, okay, then it's time for me to go back and wake up there so I can go back to sleep. But so I was like, so I went back to the bench, and I always just subconscious thing. I would always go back to the same. I would try to go back to the same location I was if I could, where I came there at. And so I go to the bench, and then I go to close my eyes, and I did feel a shift. I shifted, but I shifted from this part of the bench or the bleacher to this part of it. So I stayed. I shifted, but I still stayed there. And so since I felt a shift, opened my eyes and I was still here. And as I was still there, I was like, okay, this is weird. And I was trying to figure it out. But I like to, like, when I'm thinking of stuff or when I'm trying to figure stuff out, I pace, right? So I saw I was still here at the place. It's like, oh wow! I got up and started walking back. Like, wow, why am I still here? Like, this is weird. This has never happened. Like, what's going on? Like, what did I do wrong or whatever? But as soon as I started walking back, the first guy that I played the first game with, all of a sudden he looked at me and he saw me, and not only did he look at me for the first time, he was like, you know, like I was a piece of meat and he's a vegetarian and he never even know what meat was, or like you know, I don't know, and not only that though, not only did he do it, everybody there all started, like, you know, seeing that I didn't leave yet, and they all started to come toward, like, start walking towards me, like, and the fact that, like, it didn't happen, you know what I mean, like, why would, okay, they ignored me the whole time, and all of a sudden I matter. Not only did I matter, I really mattered to where they all stopped what they were doing, and I was like, what's going on? And that scrambled my brain, you know what I mean? I was like, what's going on? You know, this isn't right. And I was like, okay. And then I don't know if I maybe I was about to run or about to, like, you know, freak out or something. But right as soon as I was about to do something, an arm goes over me, and with the arms over me, I'm like, who's touching me, right? And then I look over, and it's this little chubby white kid on a skateboard, and he's in just a regular t-shirt. He's in shorts, like some cargo shorts maybe. Or no, cargo shorts or like swimming shorts. I don't remember that detail, but he was on a skateboard, regular shirt, and he's just like looking at me, smiling, right? And then from there, like, you know, then he starts on his skateboard. He starts, like, you know, like taking me somewhere, right? And then everybody starts to rally behind him, and, like, you know, goes with us as we're going somewhere, right? And I'm just like, you know, where's he taking me? Why am I still here? What's going on? You know, and I'm all tripping out. And then he only says one thing. He's just like, "You're still here." That's all he says. That's it. And I'm like, and I'm so freaked out. I'm like, I was like I am right now. I was like, you know, like I was like, yeah, in my mind, because I was the only way I could do anything. I was like, yeah, I'm still here. Why am I still here? What's going on? Where is he taking me? Why are they all? Because it was too much, too fast. You know what I mean? And right, really think he was definitely taking me away from the carnival. He was taking me away from it. He could have been taking me to a cave. I don't remember. But whatever it was, it wasn't. It was leaving the carnival. And then all of a sudden it hit me though. Out of nowhere it hit me, and I realized exactly what I did wrong. So every time I would shift, like even like with that first one, I would shift, and then I would go back home. And then from there, it's like, oh, I have time now. I would go back again. And then I'd go back home, and I'd go back again. This time, I remember I did the shift, and I was like, oh, this place sucks. And I shifted again. So I shifted twice. And then from there, I tried to leave, but I only tried to leave one time. So I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, I got it. I just gotta do it again. I just gotta do it again, right? But as soon as I had it in my mind, he got mad. Like he saw that I figured it out. He saw, like, probably I got happy, and he saw that, and he got mad. He got mad real quick. And then I was like, and so I saw him get mad. I went to close my eyes, and I don't remember if he opened his mouth to say something, or if he came at me, or I don't remember. It could be me. It could be me like trying to. But there was a lot going on, right? But as soon as I closed my eyes, though, like I said, the going back was always instant. So I closed my eyes, and I was back, and I was like, oh my God, thank God. You know what I mean? I was tripping out. I could have cried. I don't remember, but it was a reality check for me, you know, because I'm over here dealing with stuff that I don't know how I could do what I'm doing. I don't know why I could do what I'm doing. I don't know these places. I don't know why these places are here. I don't know who brought them here. I don't know who the rulers are of these places. I don't know anything about anything. I'm over here acting like I'm going to 7-Eleven for some bubble gum and coming right back. I'm over here acting like, I'm going to, to Six Flags Magic Mountain and I got a VIP pass, And so it was a reality check for me, and it scared me. And I was thinking to myself, do I even want to do these again? And I was thinking to myself, do I even have a choice? Like, because every time I've done it willingly, you know what I mean? And every time I've done it, it's been me wanting to do it. And I was wondering about it, but it turned out it didn't matter. And it didn't matter because this same day, like I said, I was on a very strict diet. I was still, to this day, I was still on the chicken broth diet, just warm chicken broth. And it was finally the day for me to try to eat solid foods again. So my mom said, do you, what day it is? Like, what day? She said, oh, it's the day for you to eat solid foods again. I said, really? She was like, yeah, where do you want to go? And I was like, Burger King. I was craving a Whopper for days. I was craving a Whopper since I woke up from being sedated. And so we went to Burger King, and I got a Whopper, with bacon, no pickles. And then as soon as I ate it, though, I bit into it. It felt weird in my mouth, but when I swallowed it, I felt different. I knew something was different. As soon as I swallowed it, I was like, oh, and I kept eating. Of course, I was hungry and this and that. And then that night, it took me the whole day to think about it and this and that. I was like, okay, well, I did realize what I did wrong. I did it twice, and so I just had to do it again twice. And I've never been to the same place twice, which means that, if I do it again, I won't go there because I've never been in the same place twice. Think positive. And who knows, I could possibly the next time might be take me back to the cloud-like city. I don't know. So I was like, I got excited again. By the end of the night, I was excited for it, and I didn't mind going again. And so, it was time to go to bed. I closed my eyes, but it was over 10 seconds, and it's never been over 10 seconds. So after 10 seconds, I was like, that's not right. Wait a minute. Okay, hold on. Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh. And I couldn't do it no more. And then that weird feeling when I ate the burger, I was like, that was it. I was like, that has to be it. I call that chapter Ground Beef Grounded. I don't know if it was because it was meat or it was because it was solid food. But I'm guessing it was meat based off of when I'm talking to other people and whatnot. And a lot of spiritual people that don't eat meat, they do a lot of astral travels and stuff like that as well. I don't know, but I was okay on it. The fact I couldn't do it though, I was still okay because, like I said, what just happened. I was like, okay, the time came, the time's gone, and I've had quite the experience. So, not being able to do it no more was fine.
Well, thanks for sharing those with us. How did you change as a person after these experiences?
Ultimately, I was, for me, it was very simple. It was so simple. I couldn't believe how simple it was. Here I was living my life the way I wanted. I do believe that God does give us free will. And with my free will, I was freely taking drugs. I was freely abusing my body. Freely disrespecting my mom, my family, respect and all that stuff. And so he gave me free will, and with that I go and give myself a premature death, or I almost kill myself. So that's what I did with my life. But my life I didn't give me my life. God, the higher power did. God gave me my life. God gave me whatever reasons I'm here. So rather than, what I want to do, which almost killed me, let me find out what he wants me to do. Why am I alive? What is my purpose here? And so with that, I stopped all the drugs, cold turkey, all the drugs, the drinking, the cigarettes, everything, the lifestyle, all of it, cold turkey. I stopped it completely just like that. But it took 7 years for me to set up my life like that. So just because I stopped, I couldn't just stop. I had people hitting me up as soon as 7 o'clock in the morning, whether they had smoke and they wanted to smoke, whether they needed a hookup, so they needed me to hook it up for them, or whether they were a drug dealer and they just want to hang out at my house for the people to come to get, so they could sell their drugs, so I had to leave because I was absolutely a different person entirely, you know, and that was, yeah, the dimensional travels did it, but also just, I was already thinking this way anyways, you know what I mean? As far as like, you know, I was on my deathbed, you know, and I was so young, you know, and I was doing it to myself. I thought, you know, I was gonna, you know, doing illegal business and stuff. I thought, you know, I'd be in jail, or, you know, another, you know, rival drug dealer or somebody's gonna, you know, something like that. Not me by myself, because I, you know, with my body. So I stopped it all cold turkey, and since I chose with my life to you know, give myself a premature death, so I started just praying without ceasing, and you know, pray on the answers to my prayers, and just I gave myself to God, and I'm a Baptist now, and I just started looking for my reason for living, my reason for living for Him, you know, because you know he has a reason for me to be here, and so I wanted to figure out what that was.
It seems like you lost the ability to go to worlds, but did you gain any other abilities?
I have visions now, and these visions. One of the visions, it made me create what I call Spindent, and the Spindents are going to be out in the next couple weeks, actually, and it took 10 years, but they're a manifestation of what it means to spiritually find yourself, and it's a tool that I've created to help people find themselves spiritually. So the title of it's called Spindent, a game for spiritual development.
So it's a game on your phone, like an app?
No. Okay, so it's actually a jewelry piece that the way it works is, so this is let's see if you can see it.
Okay.
Okay. Then you open it, and then it's just a cross or a pendant, and it spins. So a pendant that spins, a spindent, simple enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is me trying to rush to get it out, and this is nice, it's kind of cool, but this isn't my vision. This isn't what I came up with. This isn't what I thought of. This is more of it, or it's closer to it.
Okay, yeah.
And you see the symbols on it, and so yeah, the final one is it's gonna be just like this, but it's gonna have four different symbols on it. On the bottom right, a symbol of Benjamin Franklin. On the left side of that, it's gonna have a sign of taxes for taxes. On the top right is prayer hands. On the top left is WWJD, which is what would Jesus do. So this is almost it, but then without the symbols, this is nothing. Without the symbols, it's not my vision at all. Without the symbols, it's not a game that could be played. And I'm literally getting it done right now as we speak, and it should be done. I thought of it 10 years ago. It should be done in a matter of weeks, and I'll have a GoFundMe for it and everything.
How do you play that as a game?
Well, unfortunately, I can't give you the exact details of it for reasons I'll tell you a little bit later. But in general, all it is a magic 8 ball.
Oh, okay.
Meets a fidget spinner. Yeah. So you would just, on the end, you would just ask it questions and then spin it and then go off of that. And then out of all the pieces though, from the Benjamin Franklin to the taxes to the prayer hands to the WWJD, the most important piece on it is of course WWJD, which is what would Jesus do. However, Muhammad wasn't a Muslim, and Buddha wasn't a Buddhist, and Christ wasn't a Christian. You know, it's what would Jesus do, but it doesn't say what would the church do. That's not to say, you know, what would your pastor do. But if you want, you could ask him. But you know, it's a way to you know, Jesus was a man that taught peace and love, and you know, he came for spiritual healing, and that's exactly what the world needs right now. So I'm hoping, like I said, it's for spirituality, and it's a game for spiritual development. And I hope when I do come out with it, that the basis of what it means and what it represents and what it could do stays firm.
Now, it sounds like you became a Christian after your experience. Is that right?
Well, I was born a Christian, and back when both my grandmothers died within a year of each other, a little bit after the year 2000. And then once they both died within a year, I told myself, there is no God. How can there be a God? What kind of God would take my grandmothers from me like this? You know, when no one loves me but them, like them. And so I said, I didn't say that, you know, I'm mad at God or I'm mad at Christianity. I was like, there is no God, there is no Christianity. So I went further back. I went to the yin yang concepts, because, you know, the yin yang symbol predates the cross. So I went to the yin yang teachings as far as the Dantian, and then sinking your energies in the Dantian and balance of life and stuff and harmony. And I started doing Tai Chi for about 7-8 years. So I'm with Tai Chi. I know about 3 different forms of Tai Chi and like over 12 different Qigong exercises that you have to do to prepare yourself for Tai Chi. However, you know, about 5 years into doing Tai Chi and you know, giving my, you know, the yin yang concepts, I started feeling like I was better than people. I started having arrogance, like, you know, like I started looking down on people, like, oh, they were like how I used to be, idiots. You know, I used to be, I'm not idiot no more. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm from a slave nation of people. And I'm over here thinking I'm better than somebody else. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm better than no one, but I'm equal to everyone. So even then I knew in my head something wasn't right. You know, something wasn't right. And then I started during these times where I started having these bad asthma attacks, I started having these Bible studies at my house. You know, Jehovah's Witness would come and be like, hey, what's up? Come on in. You know, and then my friends were like, oh, we're doing drugs. I'm like, well, then you're going to have to leave because I'm about to have a Bible study. You know, the Mormons would come. I'd be like, hey, what's up, guys? Come on in. You know, see you guys next week, same time, right? You know, because I knew something wasn't right with my life. And then from there, this happened. And after this happened, I did give myself to Christianity entirely. However, I didn't know what type of Christian I was. So this all happened when I was in San Jose. I moved to San Diego, and then in San Diego, I started going to different churches. It didn't matter which type of church, because I was looking for my church, right? So I started looking into non-denominational. I went to Jehovah's Witness churches. I went to Mormon and Baptist, and turned out, and I ended up finding my church, which is, you know, Baptist. I'm now a Baptist, and I'm still, you know, but I'm more, even though I'm Baptist, I'm more spiritual than religious by far. And even though I'm more spiritual than religious, I do have a spiritual practice, and my spiritual practice is Christianity, and I practice my spiritual practice religiously.
Can you tell us any other ways by these experiences that you were spiritually transformed?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, and this is what I try to teach people, if I can, the blackness, you know, the void, you know, as it was pulling at me, I was in a negative state. I was doing negative things, and I was about negativity. So as I was doing these negative things in this negative state of mind, I'm going towards this blackness. And I was thinking to myself, there's probably no life after death. and the world was like going to something that was totally black, like those, like, you know, the little bit of soul I had was about to be stripped away from me, to where I'd be, you know, probably a echo of me, or something, like a lost soul or something. So for the first time, I'm going to switch it up and actually, you know, before I just start talking, I'm going to read from my book, which is Lines of Soul, Speaker to Believer. And I'm going to talk about the blackness. And before I talk about the blackness, my thoughts on it now, because this is, of course, 10 years ago, I want to, you know, share with you what happened with the blackness, so you could further get understanding of my thoughts on the blackness. And I'm going to share these thoughts because I originally, you know, never planned on making a book or writing a book. It was going to be something that I was just going to ponder and think about, you know, and contemplate until I die. However, I ended up writing a book, and so since I shared my book, I'm going to go in and share my contemplations and ponderings. Yeah, so once again, it's talking about the blackness, and in my book, I bring up the blackness a lot in the first chapter, and then one more time in the artificial realm chapter. So here it is in the first chapter, and the first part, it says, "What I did know was the blackness that slowly starts to pull at my soul. Once my asthma attacks would strike, has started to slightly pull at me once again. The blackness is something I will forever and always dread." And then you know, a couple paragraphs goes by. It says, "Oh no, the tug of the blackness is getting stronger and yanking at me periodically." A couple paragraphs more, it says, "I can hear the sirens coming down the street. I've already crawled to the door, waiting to use the last of my physical strength to open the door for my saviors. I begin to calm. The blackness is still there, but the pull at my soul is less severe." And for those that haven't read my book, I was having a very severe asthma attack due to my malnutrition, due to my attacking my health all the time. And so at this point, this is my final asthma attack, my final strongest asthma attack. My oxygen levels were under 70%, I think around 67, 64. And this is right before my NDE, my near-death experience. The last part in this chapter of me talking about the blackness says, "It isn't working. It isn't working," I screamed. And this is after the ambulance picked me up. "It isn't working." As I was screaming, I was flailing my arms and legs all around. I was completely out of control. They tried to hold me down, but the blackness pulling and tugging violent and relentlessly at my soul was stronger than all of them combined. It wasn't just taking me, it was taking me painfully. The pain was totally blinding me of all my senses. I didn't want to go, not like this. Oh God, no. I really wasn't even fighting the emergency medical team, although it must have looked that way. I was fighting death, fighting to stay in this world, in this reality that I knew and was familiar with. One of my EMTs managed to grab hold of my arms. I then felt a poke on my arm, and then the blackness had its way with me. And once again, I thought I was dying. I was screaming for my life. I was, pleading and praying for God to come in, and I felt this pull of the darkness, of the blackness. And I say blackness because it was like darker than dark. So if you close your eyes right now, as tight as you can, think of a blackness inside that. This pull, the feeling was like a jagged, rusty, huge hook that penetrated my heart and was pulling violently at my heart, like trying to take me like somewhere I did not want to go. I knew for a fact wherever it was taking me, I did not want to go. Okay, and then so that's the first time I talk about the blackness. The second time I talk about my blackness is during the chapter I call the artificial realm, or the altered dream dimension, as I refer to it now, 10 years later. But it was the first time I traveled to a different realm or a different dimension, and then this one, the first one I went to, wasn't real. It was from my own concoction. It was from my head. I realized that I'd made it up. It started to close in on itself, and that's what this is, me talking about it starting to close in on itself. Since I now knew this wasn't real, although shook up, I didn't run at first. Why should I? It was a dream, right? What's the worst that could happen in a dream? As this nothingness void eating this dream world neared closer, I reached out my hand. Bad idea. As the fingertips of my hand began to melt away into the nothingness, I felt the exact same cold chill and violent tug I felt when the blackness would tug at me during my asthma attack. The tug was creeping up my fingers towards my body. No, thank you. I pulled away now, definitely terrified. And then and it goes from there. So with the first chapter, as I was going into the blackness, I think to myself, okay, what was I doing at the time? I was on drugs, I was doing drugs, I was slinging drugs, I was in a dark place. And as I was in this dark place doing dark things, I started going towards the darkness, right? But on top of that, I was also a success in this world, per se. What I mean by that is, my peers respected me, and they, I was the man in their eyes. I had money, I had power. With the drugs, I was, I had women, I had girls, women, however you want to look at it, so I was a success. But as I was in this world, I was a success as far as the world that they try to make us live. The lifestyle they try to make us live to be cool or to be accepted in this world, in this society. I was questioning God, I was doing drugs, I was selling drugs, and life sucked, and I feel that's why I was going towards the blackness. But then from there, in this dream world or this dream dimension state, the blackness was still there. So that tells me if we're not right here mentally, spiritually, physically, we go towards the blackness. But then even in a dream state, a dream world or dimension or reality, it's still there. At some point, so there's always going to be blackness, right? So there's always going to be a blackness, and for some reason, this world is always trying to make us go towards the blackness. They want us to turn away from God, and what's bad is good, and what's good is looked down upon as bad. It's weird. It's interesting. But what if it's mind over matter? Because not only was I doing dark things, I was thinking in a blackness state of mind, so to speak, because I was thinking, oh, there's probably no life after death. This is probably all there is, and it sucks. There's probably going to be nothing after this, and it'll just be black. So I was already thinking in that state of mind of blackness, right? Like this world wants me to believe and wants me to think, right? Like there's no God after this. There's nothing. It's all fluke. It's all just, and YOLO. You only live once, so I'm going to go all out. This is all there is. This is all there's going to be. And from there, I was going towards the blackness. So it's almost like by thinking like that, I think therefore I am. And I was thinking I was going towards the blackness, and this world set me up to, and I'm telling you, it was black. It was a blacker than black that I was going to. And it was scary. It was so scary. But then from there, I'm in the hospital, almost died but didn't, near-death experience and all that stuff. And I'm cleansed out through the days, so I'm free of the drugs. There's no drugs in my system. My mind's clear. And then all of a sudden I'm able to go to these different dimensions. And but even still, there was with this realm, with this altered dream dimension, there was still blackness. And so I think now it's possible that, the state of mind you're in on your last day, because we all have a promised last day, it's going to, your mindset's going to help decide where you're going to go. And so you have to, if you think that there's going to be nothing, and you think that this is all there is, and after this it's going to go black, after my experience, you may be right for you. And for you, that will be exactly where you go. But if you think there's more, if you think your family and your friends are going to be there, and you think there's a special place just for you because of the the spiritually inclined, positive spiritual energy you have, and then it's why can that not be true? So these are my ponders today based off of what happened to me 10 years ago. I shared it, so I shared my book, and so I shared my contemplations on what happened to me in my book. So thank you for your time to listen. But to combat against that, not only do I go to church, but what I do is I gather positive energy. You know, and then like, you know, on my page on my Facebook and stuff, I tell people like, you know, oh, I gather positive spiritual energy, and with that, like I continue. So for 10 years straight, I've been doing nothing but gathering positive spiritual energy, not just spiritual energy. And this is something I wanted to say on here to share with my followers on my Facebook. You know, if they see this, that what I want to tell them is that when I say I gather positive spiritual energy, I actually mean it literally. Like I don't say it like it's a concept. And how I do it is because when I gave myself to the Jungian concepts and through Tai Chi, that's what Tai Chi teaches. It teaches you how to gather energy. So you know through breathing, actually, you know, that to exhale is heaven, to inhale is heaven, to exhale is earth. And so you bring in heaven, and then you breathe a certain way to incorporate it into your body, and then you release it into the earth. And so that was my practice that I did for years. And from there, since this near-death experience, I tweaked it. So what I do now is I don't just gather energy, I gather positive spiritual energy. You know what I mean? And it has to be positive. And we could all sense positive energy. So I see positive spiritual energy. And from there, I bring it into me, but then I don't let it out. I retain it. I have a spiritual practice. My spiritual practice is Christianity. And I use my spiritual practice to gather positive spiritual energy. But what you have to do, what gives you joy. And joy is an invigorating feeling, a powerful feeling, and it's a multiplying feeling. Like, you know, it's almost like a natural high that we give ourselves if we know how to tap, if we know what makes us joyous. The best way to understand like how I gather spiritual energy through my church or through my spiritual practice is lift your name, Lord. We worship. Oh Lord, we worship you. You know, it felt like I just took like coffee with, you know, extra 3 shots in it, you know, concentrated coffee, you know, but I didn't, you know, and then afterwards it was like, wow, I'm wide awake. I don't know what I feel, but I like it. And from there's the service, right? And right from back then I was like, oh man, now it's time for the service. But that was, you know, well over 9 years ago. So now it's like you go in, you feel that, you get that from the choir, you feel that joyous feeling inside of you, and from there you go to the service, and the service tells you how to retain that joy until it's time to go to church again in a week. But then again, it takes, you know, the way the world works is it comes at you right away, almost right as soon as you leave church. You know, and the world is set up to make you feel negate, make you, that's almost like gearing you going towards the blackness. From there, you generate the energy, and we are generators naturally. We don't become, you know, soul suckers and draining other people of their energies until you start to succumb to this world. This world makes you become like that, you know. But until then, we're naturally generators. And the best way to explain how to generate this positive energy is using solar panels. Think about solar panels on roofs of houses. And the way they work is, they're really expensive at first, but you know the rewards are so beneficial that it keeps on giving afterwards. And with that, you get the solar panel, and then from there, it's taking energy. It's also storing the energy up. And then as you're storing energy through the solar panels, after a while you stop having to pay. You no longer have to pay the electric bill, because not only are you not getting energy from them, now they're getting the energy from you. So with that, you have so much stored energy, and you're getting so much energy that now the electric companies are paying you for your energy. So using that same metaphor, you know, as you gather and generate the positive spiritual energy, as it starts to, you get so much stored up, it starts to ooze out of you, or more so, it starts to pour out. Your spirit starts to pour out to where you can't help it. It pours out automatically. The positive energy starts to pour out automatically. And once that starts to happen, then you are officially a child of God, because you're in God's will.
All right. Well, since we're on the subject of Facebook, If people want to reach out to and ask you questions, should they approach you on Facebook?
Oh yeah, absolutely. My book does have a page called Lens of Souls, Tweaker to Believer, and on it though, these last months, I've actually been putting a lot of stuff that I got from my book on there, because my book is a tough read. It really is. And, anybody that's gonna read my book or anybody that's read my book, I say thank you and I apologize because I'm not a writer. I didn't, but at the same time, I'm not a writer, but I had a story that needed to be told. And so it's, you read it after like the third page, you're like, no, this guy's not a writer, but I had to go from memory, that was the way to get it down. And it's a tough read, but it happened, so yeah.
Can you find your book on Amazon, or if not, where?
Yes, my book is on Amazon, and it's actually it's been out long enough, so as long as you Google Lands of Souls, it comes up, but the full name of it is Lands of Souls, Tweaker to Believer. And it's just about everything that happened from when I with my last asthma attack that led me to be sedated for 4 days, and then from there I do a flashback to like how'd I get here, and I go back to the first time I tried crystal meth, and then all the fun that I had from it, and then from there I kept doing crystal meth, and then so I also talk about all the downfalls that started happening because of it. It's not. It's only a matter of time when it comes to things that aren't right for you and your body. And so I talk about all that, and then the sequel, the travels in full detail. And then from there, when I stop cold turkey, I say a quick message about, my message to that is, I am a Christian, but that's because I feel Christianity is for me. I think life's about spirituality and what it takes for you to feed your soul, through spirits, through spirituality and whatnot. And so long as you're doing that, then I feel the absolute living God that I serve, you're doing what he wants, and that's the wrong God. Okay, how do I know that? But what's more important is just, don't say that's the wrong God. Say at least you're, there is no God. That's what he doesn't want. That's the problem of the world right now. As of right now, the world's so bad. Instead of people turning to God, now people are turning to aliens. They're like, they're waiting for the aliens to come back and get us or save us from the world and stuff. It's like, no, that's not where it's at. It's about spirituality, and that's the bottom line. As long as, like my sister, and she's the one that really, after the NDE and me traveling to these different places and stuff, she's the one that really put understanding to it for me. And she made me not feel like I was crazy. She gave me the confidence to even, come out and talk to other people about it. And she's actually a practitioner of Kundalini. Yeah. So, and she's really into it too. And she's good, and then that's fine, because she's very spiritual, and she's her energy, her positive energy, you could feel it, it expresses, and I think that's what it's about.
All right, that's great. All right, so before we finish up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
Me doing the drugs and all the bad stuff I was doing, this world was happy with me. With this world, I was good. With this world, I was getting 3, 4, 5 thumbs up. Like, I was on the right path. Like job well done. As I'm being pulled into this darkness, stripping at my soul. It's job well done, and that's what this world does. This world gears you towards the void. It makes you go towards the blackness. Why? Why? I don't know why, but it does, and you have to go against it. If not, though, you're going to do well here. You're going to do well here. You'll do great here, but it's not about here. It's about, this is a rehearsal for our eternal souls. This is a practice for what's to come. This is just a small thing, but you're gonna put all of you into this, and you're going to lose yourself, literally, and I don't know why the world does this, but it does. And if you're not aware of it, then if you're not aware of it, then you probably already lost. You just gotta, look to the higher power, your higher power, whoever your higher power is. But whoever your higher power is, to give you that spiritual strength and energy to go up against the void, because it's all the void, and now it's more of the void now more than ever. Even those strong spiritual people now they're not even they're lost. After you lose your job that you've had for over 30 years, or because you don't trust this vaccine, and so now they're going towards the void. It's so wild.
All right. Well, thank you for that message. And Benjamin, thank you so much for being my guest. I really appreciate you, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, Jeff, and I appreciate you having me, man.
All right. Take care and have a good night.
You too. I'm going to do a quick recap for my followers. And if this is your first time seeing one of my videos, you might want to get some popcorn. Just over 10 years ago, I used to be a drug dealer, slinging, smoking, crystal meth, living that life. I had a really bad NDE, which put me in the hospital. And during my NDE occurrence, I was able to temporarily shift to different dimensions and back at will. As soon as I lost the ability, I gave myself to the absolute living God that showed me that. And it was very spiritual, and so I encourage spirituality, and my spiritual practice is Christianity, and that is confusing at times, but I am more of a spiritualist than religious by far. Right after I was done being able to have the ability to switch to different dimensions, I was almost immediately after, I was given instruction on how to make the Spindent. And the Spindent is, the gift of Spindent is a game for spiritual development that I made 10 years ago, but it was prematurely done. The world wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready to present it. So these last 10 years were used for me to spiritually mature. In the last 10 years, I have become a father, a full-time single dad with full custody father, and I've entered into natural physique bodybuilding competitions and done some modeling and other stuff in regards to accumulate money to invest in the Spindent. But as I've been growing spiritually in prayer, a couple months ago, I was instructed to start the Spindent now. The wait was over. Alright guys, how you doing? I'm feeling good, I'm feeling great. Saturday approaches, so with that, from now until Saturday, this is the end of my journey. It was a 10-year journey. It was interesting. It was a godsend, but basically these next videos I'm gonna do up until then are my journey. I'm gonna go ahead and start to this is my book Lands of Souls was a document with what happened to me in those couple days. These next videos are going to be a document on what happened with me these last 10 years. So with this video, this is important for the rest of the videos to come. So throughout the whole time, I didn't understand what they were until last year. I have two types of visions. I have visions of knowing and visions of understanding. Visions of understanding are regular, every human being in the world has visions of understanding. They just don't understand them. And so I could teach visions of understanding easily. And then once people start to hear my visions of understanding, you'll be able to get an understanding or idea of how they work. And basically though, for the past 8 years, including the Spindent was given through a thought creation, but it was still a vision of understanding. So with that, the last 8 years were based off of me with visions of understanding. After 8 years, I was just listening. Okay, Lord. Yes, Lord. I see, Lord. Yes, Lord. I thought, in a sense, though, I was kind of going crazy. I was like, am I tripping out, or is this real? But with in March of last year was my first vision, not last, but it was my first vision of knowing. And after my vision of knowing, I was given a lot of information. After the vision of knowing, I understood that this was real. I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. Oh my gosh, this is real. This is crazy. I'm tripping out right now. But I was like, wait a minute. I went to different dimensions and came back. So I was tripping out, but I stopped tripping out kind of quick. So, but after the first vision of knowing, I was able to, now I know how to understand my visions of understanding, which anybody could do and everybody has. And it's so easy that it's hard. But yeah, Saturday approaches. The Spindent, I'm gonna explain the details. Be there. All right, so this is from my near-death experiences group because I know they have the frequency of understanding that's needed when I explain this. So when it comes to my Merkaba star, this manifested itself here. And it manifested itself on my way on the road to bring the Spindent to this land of souls. How it happened was about 7 years ago when I was trying to get it out. I teamed up with somebody, and he talked me out of making the gaming aspect of the Spindent. He explained how, Spindent, gaming symbols, a game on a cross. He's like, that's very controversial. It's, the churches aren't going to accept that. It's going to be a flop right away before it can even begin. He said, but the idea is nice, a pendant that spins, and the cage and everything. He said, why stop at a Spindent? Why not take it further? You could do like a shooting star and other shapes and stuff. And I was still like more like the old me than the me I am now. So I was like, yeah, you're right. And he's like, and then he told me to think of different shapes, for the prototypes. I'm like, okay. And so I was like, we already did the cross. I was already in mind. And I was thinking, in my mind, I was thinking 3D. Like, because for this, I was thinking 3D cross. So I was like, not a star. That sounds kind of lame. So, I know. We could do the Star of David. We'll do a 3D Star of David. Thinking I was being creative. And then so we make the prototypes, and sure enough, I get this prototype. It's good to go, and it doesn't have the game on it, but nice little trinket, I guess. And then the Star of David, but there is no 3D Star of David. It turns out that what he did was he made a 2D version of the Merkaba star to put on the shields of his warriors during battle to give them strength and power and energy. So, and this does predate, the Bible. It would have to, right? So, the way this manifested into this world, I'm not sure if I belong to it or if it belongs to me. But what I did learn, though, is that, no, this isn't right. This isn't what my vision was. This isn't what the world needs. It's not about making money. It's about giving the world what it needs. That's when I knew that it had to be me. Okay? And so, with that, on Saturday, this is here, but it's not fully manifested here until I break down exactly how to play the game. And so on Saturday, I will be doing that. And this came and was manifested based off of this journey. The journey ends Saturday. Be there.
Hey, Ben.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yes. I'm
Are
good.
you ready
I'm good.
now?
Good to see you.
All right, Ben. Now, Ben, you were a former guest.
Yes.
About, a couple months ago or so, or what?
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. It was about, What about almost 3 months ago?
About 3 months ago, Ben was my former guest, and I'm so sorry. I just, since doing it every day, I don't remember your experience. I know that you
That's
have
fine.
created this necklace, but what was remind us what happened to you during your experience?
Yeah. So my experience was a little different from the standard experience, but even though they're all a little different. But what I mean is usually most have an experience one time, and it lasts hours, minutes, and whatnot. With my NDE, it it left me so close to death, but not death. Every time I would try to basically it made it to where I was able to go to different dimensions at will for a
Okay.
few days. So, and that's what my book's about. Land of Souls is talking about my trips to these different dimensions,
Mhm.
and and then I was on a strict diet, and so I was on a no meat diet for those during those days because of my NDE. It had to do with asthma, so I was my oxygen levels were at about 67%, so I couldn't breathe on my own. I was literally dying, literally, and so they had to sedate me to put a tube down my throat to breathe for me for 4 days. So I was sedated for 4 days until my oxygen levels got up to where I could breathe again. And after the fourth day, they took me out of sedation. I was at about 91, 92%. And when they took the tube out of my throat, it tore my esophagus, and so I couldn't breathe. And then I didn't eat for a while, so I was weak. I had to learn to talk again. My throat was tore up. I didn't even know if I would be able to talk again the same, and I had to learn to walk again and all that stuff. But during that time, every time I would go to sleep, I would able to shift to these different dimensions, and then come back, and then I was able to do that until my esophagus was healed up enough to where I could eat meat again. So that day I went to Burger King, I ate some meat,
Mhm.
and I felt the difference right away. There was something like, as soon as not when I was chewing it, but as soon as I swallowed it, something happened. Like I felt it. I was like, and then that night I wasn't able to do it anymore. I lost the ability, but I got the experience, thoroughly. So I was okay with not being able to do it.
All right. For those of you that are curious, I looked it up while he was talking. He is podcast number 332. And the title is He Was Being Pulled into the Void During His Near Death Experience. And I think what I can remember is it was pulling you in, sucking you in, and you were trying to avoid being pulled in. Was that it?
Yes, sir. That's exactly it. And this is prior to my near death experience, because this is why I was near death. I was a crystal meth smoking and selling drug dealer.
Right.
So I was living the life, and I have bad asthma. I was born with it. So I started getting up to this last year, when the NDE happened. I was at that was my seventh asthma attack that year. But the life I was living, I knew wasn't for me. So they were asthma attacks, but they were triggered through anxiety. I was living the life, and I was supposed to live it. And I started my mind started going places, and things didn't feel right. So I started having these anxiety attacks. But I have asthma, so they turned into asthma attacks.
Wow. Yeah. And I think, well, I don't know about all drugs, but I think that I've read before that a side effect of marijuana is anxiety. Like if they list it in like the drug, gosh, what's that called? They have the thing where they have like every medication in it, and I don't know why, but I guess now it's marijuana's medical medication as well. But and they show every drug you can look up, and then you can look up the side effects. And I think a side effect of marijuana is anxiety.
Oh, I believe it. Like when I do smoke weed, it's smoking sativa. There's so it's like it's so like you get an upper. You know what I mean? So when you smoke weed, you're supposed to bring you down, but that brings you up. And then like a couple of times it was late night, and this is years ago now. But yeah, I smoked a sativa, and I was like, no, this isn't right. So yeah, gives you anxiety. It's like my heart's racing, and so it should be calming down. But yeah, you're right, definitely.
So what's been new with you in the last 3 months?
Right, exactly, right. So as far as what's been new with me, the Spindent's out. It's good to go.
Mhm.
It's I'm on welfare. I'm not gonna hide it. But I still live a very rich life. That I thank God for. But I used all my money to get it out. The prototype and the molding for it. So it's out, and I have a GoFundMe up. So, but like I don't know if you remember or not. Even though it's out, I still have never shared how to play the game at all. And that's what I want to do today on your podcast, if you would allow it.
Sure. Okay. So from the last time we were there, Benjamin was developing this pendant that looks like it's hanging from his necklace, right? Yeah. Maybe you can show us one up close. This is something he was working on. He was something he designed, and you said it's also a game or something. So tell us about it.
Yes, it's a game for spiritual development.
Mm-hmm. So it has like a spinning cross on the inside?
Yes, sir. It's a pendant that spins. So I call it a spindent.
Okay.
And it's spindent, and it's made it's a cool little trinket, and it's a nice cage. It's pretty nifty, and but the whole aspect of it, the whole point was to make it, the whole thought with it, period, was something to help people. The world is not based off of spirituality. It's based on taking you away from it. And everything we do from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed takes you away from spirituality. Mm-hmm. Literally. You have to be so close to death to have a near-death experience to be able to see the truth, to be able to be unplugged from the matrix. But not everybody could go to near-death extremes, because some people go so near death they do die. Mm-hmm. So so what could you do? What could we do to And I was this was after my near-death experience, and it in the way it came to me, in a weird way, and with that I've been living a weird life ever since. Mm-hmm. And so after this, when I explain how to play the game for the first time, I can hopefully I won't be as strange to some people. So I did invite some people here today for this. Hello, Firebrand Atheist. It's me again. And I'm here because I'm being persecuted. It's wild. My posts have always been shadow banned since the very beginning. If you go to my TikTok, go back 2 years, it's been shadow banned. Even though all I'm doing is talking about, how to respect women. But, that's not a part of their agenda. I'm an NDEer, and I love my NDE group. First of all, they've helped me with my final stages of my spiritual development and spiritual maturity. However, they're not letting me post anymore, because like I've said before, I'm very spiritual, and I believe in spirituality. I express spirituality, and I have a spiritual practice, but my spiritual practice is Christianity. And because of that, they thought, oh, you're a Christian, you're going to try to make people become a Christian. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm spiritual. But, no, you're a Christian. No, religion is dead. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know what you're talking about. That's not what I'm trying to represent. If Kundalini is fine. Auras and chakras is fine. Christianity is not fine. It's like, what happened? I thought all forms of spiritual. Anyways, I still love them. As far as the Christians, it's like, the pastors are doing very well. How our churches right now are dealing with fear over faith and faith over fear. And so right now it's very interesting in the churches. They're divided, and they're already divided. So to be divided after being divided, Baptist, Jehovah's Witness, Catholic, Pentecostal, they're already divided. Now they're divided with them being divided, so it's chaos. Pastors are doing great though, but I can't go. They're not even ready to hear what I got to say, so they're off limits. And then when I do talk to them, they say stuff about either Antichrist stuff, even though when I'm talking about spirituality, and then from there, if anything, I talk Christian because I'm a Christian. And then Satanists, they're the reason why I'm shadow banned, because, they're ruling right now. So, of course, they don't want none of my stuff out. So, it's so funny. So I have you guys, the atheists. But you guys are awesome. You guys are indifferent. Perfect. You guys are like, oh, whatever, it doesn't exist. Perfect. You're letting me be me. Thank you. And like I said, the time is now. So coming this January 15th, 2022, I'm going to show exactly how to play the game. It's going to be seen and it's going to be known. And once it's known, things are going to happen. So if you're a non-believer, follow me, wait till that moment, and be in that moment. Be there live. This isn't a magic show. You know, I'm not a magician. That's why it can only happen once. Live. I can only do that once. I'll go ahead and say what I'm going to say one time. Be there.
All right. Well, tell us how to play the game.
Right. Well, before that, I did want to say that the reason I did want it to be live, you know, because when we talked during the 332 video, I couldn't really explain it entirely like I can now. So the reason it needed to be live is because, you know, people say, oh, yeah, the absolute living God, you know, oh, I believe in the absolute living God. But what does that mean? And how, and in essence, if it's the absolute living God, then it's when it's live. It's now. It's right here, you know. And as long as you're live, then you are in the presence of the living God, you know. And this, you know, you interview N.ear ears all the time. We always talk about manifestation. How can we manifest? And we talk about manifestation so much because that's exactly what happened to us as N.ear ears. You know, whether you're looking at your body from down here, then you're manifested up there. Or you travel places, then your body, you manifested as somewhere else, and then you manifested back. It's a word that's triggered with us from our NDEs. And before I fully wanted to manifest the Spindent into this line of souls, I wanted to make sure, you know, get his permission. Like, is it okay? Well, let me do it live. Let me, once it's fully once I have the game out in detail, it's here. You know what I mean? It's here for people to say, hey, I'm interested in it, or for people to try to take it and twist it and manipulate it, you know? And so I wanted to make sure it stays safe until it was ready, and it seems like it's ready. So, the time is now.
All right, let's check it out.
All right, so with it, and last thing, sorry, because since you don't follow me, I've been kind of like doing posts in regards to today. And I messed up on a lot of the posts. I didn't start getting it right until Thursday, but I've been doing posts since Sunday. Mm-hmm. And in the post, I was saying, like, you know, my God, like, you know, oh my God, you know, my God this, my God that, you know. And in a way, I got a slap on the hand for it. What's up, guys? So I got scolded. It's weird, but I've been in a very weird situation for a while. Anyways, when I say my God, that's me protecting my God. But if he's the God, he doesn't need protection. So the higher power says that I can stop taking credit for this right now. This is not me. This is all him. It's all been him. From the very beginning, from the time of the dimensions, he woke me up. I dedicated myself to him, but I didn't understand him. He gave me the Spindent. I didn't understand the Spindent. And I just got unplugged from you guys, so I didn't understand you guys. The last 10 years has been one big vision of understanding for me. The way you guys are treating me right now is a vision of understanding for me. And what happens on Saturday is all him. He wants to show you guys what he can do. But even though it's not me, I have faith in him, so it's all me. Hey, what's up, guys? The time approaches. Very cool. I'm kind of cool about it. No, I'm not really tripping too hard because if you've been following any of my posts, I haven't taken it out of the equation. So the fact that I'm out of the equation makes it easier for me. It makes it to where I just do what I was told. That's how I got here. This whole time, I've just been doing what I was told. So during the presentation, I'm just gonna do what I was told, and then and give it the way it was meant to be given. Real fast, for Christians, all Christians, any and all Christians, including my Christian family and my Christian friends. The reason I don't bring up Christianity too much, I thought all, is because I wasn't saved for Christians. I was saved for people like me, the old me. The old me was a punk. I was selling drugs, doing drugs, living the drug lifestyle, disrespecting women, disrespecting my mom and my family. And that's what I came for. That's who this is for. At some point, it's going to be specified that this is exactly who that's for. So, and when it comes to this battle, in a sense, as far as who I am and what I represent, I am one who gives my praises to the almighty higher power, and that's the higher power is my source of praise, and Christianity is my way of worship. So, and that's very adamant, that's very absolute. But, Christians and Satanists, they do believe. So I'm not here for those that believe. I'm here for the non-believers. This message today is going to be aimed and targeted at non-believers, like the ones like how I used to be. This is for people like the old me. So I don't, it's not for Christians, but I absolutely needed Christians. I need Christians. And I needed to become a full-fledged, faithful Christian in order to properly do what's going to happen later on today. It took 10 years of becoming a faithful Christian to be able to accurately present what the higher power wants me to present. So that's what happened. That's what's going to be happening in a matter of hours. So if you're seeing, I'm not doing no more posts trying to get people there. It wasn't about an audience. It's about witnesses. Anybody that's going to see this today is going to be witnessing today. Because to say my God sounds vain, it sounds entitled, and it sounds standoffish, and if when it comes to, the God that I feel I represent, he's the opposite of all that, and so I kind of like, it was like kind of, but I was doing it to protect you. I mean, like, this is my God. Like, I don't know about you. No, this is my God. So I wasn't trying to say it like I was trying to be vain. It was just, but if he is the God, he doesn't need that type of protection, especially from me. You know what I mean? And so with that, it's like, no, he's the higher power, and he's not mine. He's everyone's, and with that, it gave me a little humility, but also with that, I'm not going to, in a sense, I won't be personally me as Ben. I will not really be doing this presentation. When I explain the Spindent, it's going to be what I got from the Spindent from the time of after my NDE up until now. All right. I mean, everything is just based off of me praying. Okay, Lord. Yes, Lord. How, Lord? Are you sure, Lord? Are you sure, Lord? Yes, Lord. Sorry, Lord. Okay, Lord. Yes, Lord. Are you sure, Lord? It brought me here. So that's all I'm going to do. And with that, once I get out what led me here, then I'm going to say something. Because I'm a person too. I got some stuff. I've been here for 10 years unplugged. I got stuff I want to say too, but before that, I got to present the Spindent. I'm gonna get it all out, get it out here, and then say some stuff based off the higher power that I follow that and stuff, and then go from there.
All right.
Okay. So with the Spindent, it's with the different symbols. You have the Benjamin Franklin $100 bill, the taxes sign, the prayer hands, and the WWJD. What would Jesus do? These levels, it's not materialistic down here, not materialistic up here. It's not vibes, low vibes down here. It's not good vibes up here. It's frequency, and it's frequency because down here is the lower frequency. Up here is the higher frequency. Mm-hmm. The world that we live in is lower frequency. And so you could use just a lower frequency and be fine, because that's the world we live in. And then the top is higher frequency, and it's a higher frequency because when you go up in frequency, not everybody could hear it. So not everybody could use the top part, but you could use the bottom until you're ready to use the top. Unless you think, hey, I could use the top, then use the top, And that's why it's spiritual development. Mm-hmm. So even if you're like, oh, I don't believe in anything. Okay, you don't have to believe in anything to have money. That's fine. You can believe in nothing, but that's money. That's the way of life. That's the way this life works. This is the function of life. You don't have to believe in money to have to pay taxes. So this is the truth that we live on, the lower level frequency that we live on. This is absolute truth. And so you could use this without using that. That's fine. So now the explanation of the symbols. But before that, getting ready for today, I did a Spindent Easter egg on one of my videos. And in the Easter egg, because I did this 10 years ago, in the Easter egg, I put me and my friend from work, and we're talking about what happened 4 years ago. 4 years ago when I was trying to get the Spindent out still, he was a good guy. He taught me how to be there at work and stuff. And I explained to him the Spindent. I showed him one of the prototypes and I was like, oh yeah, this is how it works. And I showed him the design. I explained to him how the game works and stuff, and, verbally, of course. And then he was like, yeah, cool. It kind of reminds me of a dreidel, right? And I was like, and this is 6 years after I already had my first prototype done. And I was like, okay, what's a dreidel? I was like, a dreidel. So I got competition. Wait, I thought this was new. I thought this was just me, right? So from there, I went ahead and I went online. I started googling dreidel. I found I got the tidbits about it. And so as it turns out, and the dreidel was the only thing that's ever been close to this. It's the only thing ever that's been made in these 1,000+ years that we know of that's close to this. And I looked into the dreidel, and after looking into it, I was like, okay, I see. So it's related to Jewish religion, and it's very similar to a point, but it's totally different at the same time. And what they did was, back in those days for the dreidel, they had to. This was during the times where they weren't Christian yet. Christianity wasn't even here yet. But they were trying to, do religion based off the absolute God, based off their religion, and they were being persecuted. They weren't being allowed to give worship into their gods. They had to do their oppressors' gods or whatever. So to avoid this, they had the dreidel, and the dreidel is actually a game for gambling. It's a gambling game to where all the different sides are like, okay, this one is put in half the pot. This one is take out half the pot. This sign, I don't know this for a fact because I'm just paraphrasing. And so what happened is, when the oppressors were coming, to see what they were doing, like, oh wow, we're just playing this game. Don't mind us. We're just playing with the dreidel. They'll come to watch, and since it's a real game, they would really play, and then they would leave, and then they would they'd get back to worship. Back to the worship.
Let me stop you here, because I try to give everybody 10 minutes and we're way past it. So if you could just get right, I don't mean to be rude or mean, but I just want to give everybody else a chance to share as well. So I just have to get you right on to telling us how to play the game with your Spindent.
Okay, right to the game. So with that, as far as the game, back to the game, the $100 bill is a misinformation. It's not exactly true, because when I was told how to do the Spindent, I wasn't told to get the $100 bill. I was told to get Benjamin Franklin. So what you're seeing isn't the $100 bill, it's Benjamin Franklin. And so, but I put the 100 because you know who Benjamin Franklin is. And so when it comes to the signs, the first sign is money, power, and fortune. That stays the same. Because if you switch it from the $100 bill, which represents money, power, and fortune, you go to Benjamin Franklin, it still represents money. He had money, he had power, and he had fortune. So it changes nothing, but at the same time, it changes everything. And he was a philosopher. And one of his philosophies were, in regards to the Constitution, the philosophy was, in life, only two things are certain: death and taxes. And so with that, you have the taxes on the other side. And so as far as trying to use the bottom part, you see, you're at the store, you see, you want to get a lottery ticket, you spin the Spindent, and then you stop it. If it's, money, power, fortune, okay, probably a good idea. Taxes, you might want to not get it, right? And then from there, the top part, and then how to spin it is, you can spin it, if you spin it to the right and you stop it, then it's whatever's on the right side is what is your answer to it. And it's played like a magic 8-ball. You ask it a question, you spin it, and you get the answer. You spin it to the right, you stop it, whatever's on the right. You spin it to the left, you stop it, whatever's on the left. Okay, and so that's the example I use for the bottom part. For the top part, with prayer hands, and then what would Jesus do? The example I like to use for this. Oh, and when it comes to what would Jesus do, people have to remember that it's not what would the church do. It's not what would your pastor do. It's what would Jesus do. Muhammad was a Muslim, wasn't a Muslim. Buddha wasn't a Buddhist, and Christ wasn't a Christian. He came to teach peace and love like we need now, and for the spiritual healing that the world needed just like today. And so for the example I like to use up here, and the thing about the top part is the top part takes work, and that's why it's a higher frequency. You can't just use it, you have to think about it. So the example I use for the top part is someone, a bum on the street panhandling for money. Do you give him this money or not? You spin it, you get what would Jesus do? He would probably give him the guy money, right? you spin it, you get the prayer hands. Then it's like, you know what, my money's kind of tight right now. I think I'm just gonna I'm gonna pray for him, and go about my way. But then that still takes work, because how and what fashion are you gonna pray for him? Are you gonna say, oh Lord, I pray he's not out there trying to get money for his alcohol?
Right, yeah.
Are you gonna say, oh Lord, I pray? So you have to figure out how you're gonna pray it. You got to figure out how it's gonna work. You can't just do it. And then with the WWJD, how many times are you gonna assume, oh, when you spin it, you ask a question, and it's WWJD, oh, he would do it. You get another one, oh, he would do it. Oh, he would do it. How many times can you say that before you don't know? Because he was a person that lived. It's a fact. He lives. So at one point, if you're gonna use the top, you're gonna have to figure out what Jesus would do in a situation. Okay, and then the last thing I got from this, as far as playing the game, if you spin it down here, and you stop it, and you get an answer that you don't like, you can switch it. You could go back up. You can switch it to ones up here, and then do the frequency and try to figure it out. But you can't go down. If you go up here and you do the work, and you don't like the answer after you did the work, you can't go, okay, well, what's under it? Okay, I'm just gonna know. It doesn't, and life doesn't work like that. Once you hear the top frequency, once you can hear it, you can't ignore it. Right. You can't go back down. But you can, say you're up here, you don't you can't go back down, but you can spin in again, and then which one? Because then it's not in the same moment, because it's not in the same presence of the living God at the time, or however you want to look at it, right? And so with that's how you play the game. But from there, and then I'm done. I thank you for your patience. From there, a couple months ago.
Well, let's do this real quick. Can you hold the pendant up close to the camera? Because I would like to see the symbols. No, the real pendant.
Right.
Can you hold it up close? Real close?
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what the symbols look like. Okay, and then if you spin it to the other side, are there symbols on the other side?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You've done a good job making that. No, you have a YouTube channel where you explain it in full detail.
I will, and because after this it's out. After this it's known. So I will absolutely have one before the week's over. But what I do want to say though, and this is after this I'm done. It's just in regards to the final pieces that brought the whole Spindent together. So, a couple months ago, I was like, okay, this is happening. It's going to happen today, January 15th. So let me make sure I got my T's crossed and my I's dotted. So I did more research on, what other things are out there like this, and then when I looked, once again, only the Dreidel came out. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, only, and remember I said, it's not $100 bill, it's Benjamin Franklin. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. So it's Dreidel again. Okay, well, if this is the only one I got that's in competition, let me find out more about it. So I went ahead and did a deeper research on the Dreidel. And then when I did a deeper research on the Dreidel, guess what it said? As far as, so during the deeper research, it said that this game for gambling was hundreds of years old, like before it was used for the Jewish people. So the concept of a thing that spins for gambling has been around. But as far as the Dreidel, as the Jewish people know it, the creator of that Dreidel, you want to know what his name is?
Benjamin?
Yes. It's all it says is Ben, son of Ben. That's cool. All it says. Yeah, and with that, all I knew with this was that it had to be Benjamin Franklin. That's all I knew. That's all, and it was weird. Why this white boy? I didn't know. You know what I mean? But it's like, why is he white? But someone asked, how come I'm black? I don't know. But it had to be Benjamin Franklin, and it had to be me.
That's cool.
Right? And then, thank you. And then with that said, with this last part, I just want to say that, today is my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And with that said, with this being my birthday, as the last one born of the tribe of Benjamin, I can tell you right now that all four of us Benjamins are united under the belief that the world could come together knowing there's only one true God. And before, 4 years ago, when I saw that there was no connection, it wasn't ready to manifest. Now it is, and now the connection is obvious. During that time, thousands of years ago, they wanted to worship the absolute God, and they weren't able to. So he gave them a tool so they could continue their worship in secret. Now, full circle, the same thing. Now we need a tool so we could worship out loud so everybody could hear. You know, that's the difference. That was then, this is now. Now, you know, and with that said, as far as me, I don't know what it tells the people that are looking right now. I don't know what it means to them. What just happened? I don't know, but I know what it means to me. For me, when I found that out, what that means to me is that me, a person that chose to get to know him. I know him because I chose to get to know him. You know, and I love him because he loved me first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I will always faithfully follow through this land of souls and any other lands of souls I come on, because all I know is that the God that I serve knows my name. I'm going to say what I'm about to say because I know there's someone out there that needs to hear it. I am a full-time dad, a truck mechanic, a natural physical bodybuilding competitor, a freelance model. I am an author. I'm a certified life coach. I'm 2021 Mr. Health and Fitness contestant, and I just started my own website. And I'm also a choir member in my church. But although those are my accomplishments and things that I've done in regards to who I am and because of who I am, none of those are who I am. Who I am is actually quite simple. I am a child of God. What I mean by that is I'm a child of God because we are all God's creatures, but we are not all God's children. And what I mean by that is roaches, for example. Roaches are God's creatures. What do roaches do when they see the light? They run and they hide from the light. So God's children, when they see the light, when they hear the light, they go towards it, towards this warmth. And so what I'm about to say is for God's children. And although I am Christian, being one of God's children, that's not a prerequisite, because I've met other people, fellow children of God, that were not Christian. And with that, as a child of God, I could say this: people are starting to realize it. You know, looking around, you're starting to understand that it's a holy war going on. It's always been a holy war, or should I say, not a holy war, a spiritual war, because I don't want to trigger anybody's programming, more or less. So it's a spiritual war. It's all spiritual warfare, but that's okay because I am a spiritual warrior. And so for anyone that missed it, the higher power is the source of my absolute praise, and Christianity is my way of worship. When it comes to right and wrong, human, very trivial. When it comes to good and bad, subjective, also human. But when it comes to light and darkness, that's absolute. There's absolutely light and there's absolutely dark. And it's as simple as that, but it's so simple that it becomes complicated. And at this point, look around. It's time to choose. We're at a war right now and it's time to make a decision. There's a peaceful protest going on, right? And you're there, you know, you're upset and you're mad too. You're part of the protest. Then all of a sudden the protest turns into a riot. And as it starts to progress, there's this lady in front of her store holding a mop, scared, frail little lady. What do? You know, she's probably insured, right? So do you pick up the brake and set it off and throw it through her window? Or do you pick up a bat and go next to her and hope that no one hurts you or her? And when it comes to that scenario, the higher power in regards to who we're talking about, he's omniscient. That means he's right there in your mind right now, reading your mind, which means that he already knows what you would do. And you just told him what that scenario I gave. And guess what? He's okay with whatever you would do. Just decide. Just pick light or dark. It really is that easy. And with this same scenario, what if you choose to do nothing? You know, I'm not just going to watch. Okay, just watch as they ransack her store. That means that you made a choice. By choosing not to act is an act nowadays, especially nowadays. If you want to join the masses, if you want to be a part of the legions, go ahead. You know, they work with the masses, so they need as many as they can. That's how they work, you know. Oh, we do this. If you want this, you got to do this. Oh, if you want to be a part of that, you got to be a part of this. Oh, if everybody likes it, it has to be good, right? Stuff like that. They want you to just do what they do. They make it easy. But the higher power, he works with the power of one, because one is all it takes. And with the power of one comes free thinking. And he needs free thinkers. And what comes from free thinking? Imagination. And he needs people to imagine so he can insert his will in your imagination. And what comes from imagination? Creation. And so he needs people to be creative so he can insert his will in what it is you manifest and what you do. So what is it? Is it that the drums and the vibrations of thine enemy are so loud that you can't even hear yourself think, let alone get any positive outside influences in? Well, don't trip, because there is now a tool designed specifically for that, which will simultaneously silence their voices and increase his tenfold. I'm just a man. I can go on and on about the dimensions and being pulled into the darkness and going to the light and gathering spiritual energy, but what good is any of it if none of it's being taken in consideration? And as far as the Spindent goes, at this point, I'm powerless. Yet we are powerful because we are limitless. And I need help. I need to find someone that understands what I'm trying to do right here. I need to find someone that understands what something like this can mean and shift the world in a way that can only be positive. I need people that understand what it would mean to have something like this out here in the world, what it would mean for the generations to come, what it would mean right now. At this point, please help me any way you can. Angel investors or donators, and there's so many ways that you can help out right now. If you know someone that can make a difference, share this video to them. If you know someone that could use the gifted Spindent, then have them show them my GoFundMe. I noticed something with my journey, that when it comes to non-believers and lowercase atheists, a lot of them are actually waiting for a move of God, and then after the move, they will move. But what if God is waiting for you to move, and then when you do move, the world around you will see the move of God in you?